Hello everyone, my name is Constable Steve Hubley. I'm a member of the Chatham Police Service Forensic Identification Unit. Welcome to our office. This is where the Forensic Identification Unit resides, and we do all of our work. I work along with two other officers. One is Constable Jeff Bennett, who's been with us for about 10 years. He's not here today. And Constable Dwayne Agar, who's been with us for 14, 15 years now. In our unit, we have very specific duties and very specialized training that we do in regards to crime scene evidence. So when a crime happens and there's evidence to be collected or recorded, we're called in to assist. Our specialties include the collection of evidence and photographic recording of scenes so that we can bring that evidence to court when the time comes if somebody is charged. So I'm going to give you a little tour of our facility here, and hopefully you'll enjoy and be intrigued. Too bad you couldn't be here in person to see it, but let's see what we can do. So immediately you can see that this is our office area. We each have our own workstation where we do all our reports once we've finished working on a crime scene. And then we have lockers here where officers can place evidence for us to process. They can do that when the doors are closed and locked, and they can put it in on the other side of the lockers. We're going to make our way down here to this room here. This is what we like to call our biological evidence room. So if we have a crime scene, or we have a scene or some evidence that requires drying, such as blood-stained clothing, we would put them in the biological drying cabinets. They're each individually filtered, and we place them in there to dry overnight, sometimes 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours. And once they're dry, then we can package them and send them away to the appropriate agency. Usually that agency is the Center of Forensic Science in Toronto, where they have scientists that can do DNA analysis on blood and other types of evidence. All right, let's make our way down here a little bit further. Into this room. Now this is what we call our examination room. Our examination room is where we do close-up or macro photography. We would place them on the copy stand here, and sometimes we would use a forensic light source when we're examining clothing or any other types of evidence to look for biological or trace evidence such as hair and fibers. We could do that in this room here as well. All right, let's make our way to our lab. So this is our lab. This is where all the magic happens. This is where all the meat and potatoes, where we process exhibits for fingerprints, and it depends on what type of exhibit it is. It will depend on the type of process that we use. So if a person's wearing gloves and they attend and try and break into someone's house, and we don't find fingerprints at the scene, sometimes we'll find footprints, especially in snow at this time of year. We might find footprints in the snow. So what we'll do to collect the footprints after we've photographed it is we'll do a three-dimensional cast. And we use dental stone. So here's an example of some three-dimensional casts that we would do from a crime scene. So there's different substrates or different surfaces that the footwear may be cast in, such as dirt or gravel or mud, or it could just be in snow. And then we have Reprosil, which is a substance that we use to do a replication of the sole of a footwear. If we have an impression that's two-dimensional, such as just standing on this linoleum floor, we would use a gel lifter after powdering it with dust, or we would use electrostatic dust print lifter. And using that gives us the impression on the black film. Okay, so there's our footwear. Now the fingerprints. Before I process any fingerprints, I'm just going to, a little safety first here, okay? So I'm going to wear my gloves. while I'm doing this, I'll explain what we have in here. So this cabinet here, or this fume hood, is where we do our powder, our dusting for fingerprints. This cabinet here is our chemical cabinet, where our ductless fume hood, where we would process items using chemicals. And then this container or cabinet here is called cyanosafe. The cyanosafe is used with CA, which is cyanoacrylate or superglue. And we use that when we're processing items that are non-porous, such as a beer bottle or a pop can or a gun or a knife or a baseball bat. We would place them in this cabinet here, process it, and it would, the residue, the fingerprint residue would be coated by the CA or the superglue fumes. This is our chemical cabinet, our lab oven, and once again our ductless fume hood, or our fume hood. Because it is a kind of a dirty job that we have to do when we're dusting, it's nice to just put on a lab coat so that we keep our clothes clean. And also for safety, we place a mask. We wear a mask. So, if someone handles an item such as paper, for example, we could use what we call magna powder. And this is how it works. We'll use the magnet wand. It collects the filaments in the container, and then we just lightly go over the surface until we see if any fingerprints appear. And we're very fortunate we've found some on this piece of paper. And this is the magic part. I just pull up on the wand, release all the filaments. I can clean up my scene here, put it back into the jar, and there we have it. Here's our fingerprints on a piece of paper. So that's using black powder on a white or light colored surface. What if we have something that's dark or black, or somebody has stolen a TV but left behind the stand? Well, we'll use a contrasting color, and we'll use fingerprint powder instead of a magna powder. So just by lightly going over the surface, we're looking for some prints. Looks like we're having some success here. This is a part of the job that's very exciting, in my opinion. It's sort of like going on a search for Easter eggs at Easter time. You're looking for things, and if something comes up or you find an egg, you're really excited. And if I find fingerprints like this at a scene, I'm really excited. Let's try a lid on a Tim Hortons cup. Yeah, looks like we got a couple here. Okay. So there you have it, our developing fingerprints, our footwear impressions if we have any at the scene. Once we have those pieces of evidence, such as the fingerprints, we try and search the database to see if we can identify who they are, and if somebody has a criminal record and they're matched to the record, then we do an actual comparison. Myself and my two peers will look at the fingerprints and make the actual comparison and say, yes, that fingerprint at the scene belongs to Steve Hubley's middle left finger. So that's CSI for Chatham, Kent for you. I hope you enjoyed this tour. Thank you very much.